everybody, thank you so much for joining me here today at Re-Written Vintage Homestead. I was thinking about Mother's Day coming up this weekend, and I decided I would show you how to make some Redbud jelly. It's super simple. It is my favorite jelly as far as taste goes. It's beautiful to look at. But spring has sprung, so we have dogwoods, we have lilacs, we have redbuds, and you know, we should use those resources to make ourselves some wonderful food. But you know, while I was thinking about this video, I got to thinking about the mothers that came before us. Now, who decided they were going to pick flowers off of trees and off the ground and make jellies and jams and put them in salads? Well, they didn't have the knowledge that we have now. So somebody had to taste to see if it would make them sick, right? Somebody had to experiment around and see what plants are edible, what plants aren't. Now, did they do that because they just thought they were pretty and would make a pretty jelly? Did they do it because they were hungry? And at this time of year, you don't have your fruits, your apples, your grapes, your vegetables. They're not ready yet. Depends on what part of the country you live in. But what was the reason for doing it? And, you know, I imagine there's a lot of different reasons, but we really need to remember the mothers that came before us, generations and generations and generations past, that sacrificed and experimented and tried things and handed those lessons down to us. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how to make Redbud jelly. So this weekend I went out in the woods by the river and found this beautiful redbud tree, and I thought, wouldn't that be great for Mother's Day or for Easter? Did you know that you can eat the flowers off the redbud tree? And they're actually good for you. So I thought I'm going to make some pretty jelly, and I thought I'd take you guys along and show you how to do it. So the most tedious part of this is you have to get the flowers off of the stick. So you're just going to pinch them off, and we're going to need 4 cups of these, so it's going to take quite a few. But just listen to a podcast, listen to music, or just enjoy the quiet and pick these little purple flowers off of your sticks. Don't worry about it, you guys. We are going to strain these. So if you get a little bit of wood or anything like that in there, it won't hurt anything. We're going to strain all of that out. Aren't these flowers beautiful? Now, if you don't have a redbud tree close to you, you're going to have to go foraging. You know, usually by the water somewhere, you'll find some redbud trees in the spring. But it's a fun activity to do on a pretty spring day. Now, I ended up with 4 cups of this, but I'm only going to use 2 for my jelly. I'm going to use the other 2 to make some tea. So let's start off with adding this 2 cups here to some cold water. And I'm just going to gently push these down here to wash them off. Now I'm just gonna, this is called making tea. Now you do this with dandelions, you can do this with clover, you can do this with a lot of your edible flowers. But basically we're making a juice out of the flowers. So now that I have these rinsed off, I'm gonna let those sit for about 5 minutes. I've had this sitting for about 5 minutes, and now I want to drain the water out of it. So in my sieve, I've added a couple coffee filters because I really want to keep as many of the flower petals as I can. So once I get this all drained, we are going to boil about 2.5 to 3 cups of water and go on to the next step. I've got all of my flowers here in a canning jar, and my water is done boiling. So I'm just going to pour that over the flowers here, and you're going to need to take your spoon and push them down because you need all that water. So you're going to put the top on your jar and you're going to let that sit for about 8 hours. And then we're going to put it in the refrigerator. And the longer you keep it in the refrigerator, the darker your jelly will be. Right now it smells like tea. It smells like you've brewed a strong batch of tea. I've had my jar of Redbud flowers and water in the refrigerator for quite a while because I've been busy with work. But you can see the longer that you leave it in there, the prettier the color gets. So it's time to strain it. I don't have any cheesecloth, but that's okay. I'm just going to use paper towels here and take care of it slowly. There we go. And so we're going to strain these flowers out of the juice. Pretty beautiful color. So you just want to keep doing this until you get all of it strained, and then we're going to go on to the next step. You want to make sure you don't just strain it and then dump your flowers, because these flowers are holding a whole lot of juice. So give them a squeeze and get as much juice out of there as you can. I call it juice. I think it's actually tea is the proper word. If you do get some blossoms in there, you're not going to die, but just pick those out. And now we are ready to make our jelly. So you want to try to end up with 2 cups of your tea, and you're going to bring that to a rolling boil here. And when I'm working with pectin, I like to have all of my ingredients ready to go because it really is a fast process. So now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice and just stir that in. There we go. Then I'm going to add 1 box of Sure Gel pectin, or 3 tablespoons of pectin, which 1 box comes out to 3 tablespoons. And I'm going to bring that to a boil, and I'm going to let it boil only 1 minute. Now, you want to make sure you only do it for a minute, because I learned the hard way. I used to think, well, I want this to gel, so I want to cook it to 220 degrees. Not when you're using pectin. So let's just bring it to a boil and let it boil for 1 minute. Okay, we've let this boil for a minute. Now we're going to add 2 cups of sugar. And we're going to bring that to a boil, and we're going to let that boil for 1 minute. So you can see just how fast this process goes. So I'm going to get this all mixed up. As soon as I do, I'm going to wait till it starts boiling at a rolling boil for 1 minute. We have all of our ingredients and the pectin at a nice steady boil now. So we're going to let that boil for 1 minute, and then we will put them in our jars. We're going to do this just like we do all of our jams and jellies. I've sterilized my jars here, and I'm going to pour this to within 1/4 of an inch. So that's the second mark on your jar here. Here we go. And don't worry if you have foam on the top. We're going to take that off as soon as I get my spatula. Here it is. Okay. So you're just going to take your spatula and skim your foam off, and it'll be as good as new. This is a beautiful color, and I tasted it, and it tastes just like cherry or raspberry, any of those red fruits. It's just delicious. Okay, let's take our spatula, go all the way around it, and get rid of any air bubbles that we have. And actually, I need to fill that up just a hair more. There we go. Get out a few more of those clouds. You want to try to be careful you don't touch the top rim here. In case you have something on your fingers, you want to make sure it sets nicely. There we go. Okay, you're going to take a wet paper towel or linen cloth or whatever you have. Go all the way around the outside of the jar because we want to make sure that it seals nicely for us. We don't want any debris on that. Do the outside of the jar as well. I go around it several times, and then I always take the flat of my hand and do this just to make sure that I don't feel anything. I've sterilized my lids and my rims. You're going to put those on finger tight. Okay, now we're going to put them in our hot water bath. When you put your jars in your canner, you want to make sure you have 1 inch to 2 inch, and 2 inches safer, over your lids here. You're going to bring it to a rolling boil. Mine's just now starting to boil. And I'm going to let that process for about 10 minutes. Then I'll turn the heat off and let them sit in here 5 more minutes. And then we're going to take them out. Look at the beautiful color of this jelly. I hope you can see it. It's so pretty pink, like the color of peonies. And it is delicious. So thanks for watching, you guys. I hope you will try the Redbud jelly. It is delicious. And you only have a couple more weeks before those flowers are going to start falling off, especially if you get a storm. So give it a go. They're beautiful, and like I said, it's my favorite jelly. It tastes so good. And I hope everyone has a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. And I hope that you'll take some time this weekend to think about the women who came before us, our grandmas, our great-grandmas, our great-great-grandmas, and think about the sacrifices that they did so that we could be here. Have a great week, you guys. See you again next time. And if I don't have enough to do today, I probably ought to be picking some dandelions and make some dandelion jelly too.